This brand new Star Wars book just introduced a massive Star Wars, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith retcon, and it's raised some major questions about Padme Amidala's death and burial. It didn't exactly come as a surprise that Padme died in Revenge of the Sith, although how Padme died was disappointing. The original trilogy had confirmed that Luke and Leia's biological mother was dead, and they hadn't known her, or barely remembered her, in Leia's case. Yet, Padme's death remains one of the saddest tragedies in Star Wars movies and TV shows. Over time, this has only become clearer, with Star Wars, Tales of the Jedi depicting her funeral in much greater detail and several comic books exploring how crushing this loss was for those who knew her, including Darth Vader. Those additions to the Star Wars timeline have remained fairly consistent, but now, one brand new Star Wars book has thrown a major wrench in Padme's burial story, and it makes no sense. Star Wars previously confirmed Padme was buried. Darth Vader visited Padme's tomb in the comics. Padme's tomb in the Star Wars comics. In the canon Marvel Star Wars comic book Star Wars, Darth Vader, 2020, number 1, Darth Vader visits Padme Amidala's tomb on Naboo and even tries to open it until her close friend and former handmaiden, Sabe, intervenes. This actually ends up being a gutting story arc, as Vader begins using the Force to open the tomb before experiencing a flashback to Padme smiling and then to him Force choking her on Mustafar. This stops him in his tracks, and he must ask a droid to look in and scan her instead. It may be difficult to empathize with Vader at this moment, particularly because he played a major role in her death, but this is a sad reminder of how much Anakin really did love Padme before he became so corrupted. Importantly, this story arc also confirms that Padme was indeed buried on Naboo, as the droid is able to identify a traceable med implant on her corpse. Now, a brand new canon Star Wars book has thrown this entirely into question. This burial has been completely retconned in a new Star Wars book. The funeral customs of Naboo apparently required cremation, not burial. A new Star Wars book, Star Wars Complete Locations New Edition, written by Jason Fry, Emily Shkukani, Kristen Lund, Simon Beecroft, Kerry Doherty, and James Lucchino, has raised major questions about how this tomb for Padme could exist at all. In Star Wars Complete Locations, the Naboo funeral traditions are explained in detail, if those are the Naboo funeral customs, and Padme was shown having a full-fledged Naboo funeral in Revenge of the Sith, then how could her body have been laid to rest in a tomb? It's possible Padme was laid to rest in a way contrary to Naboo tradition, but that would be odd, particularly for Padme. She was a beloved queen and senator, and she was dedicated to her planet and her people. It makes no sense that she would have wishes for her burial so opposite to the customs, and it isn't clear why she would have wanted anything different. This description of Naboo funerals in Star Wars Complete Locations was seemingly an unintentional Padme Amidala and Star Wars, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith retcon.